This just blew my mind. We talk about our universes pretty often, especially in terms of the existence or the non-existence of a creator, and I've been giving it quite a lot of thought lately. That's when I stumbled upon this video between Joe Rogan and astrophysicist Michio Kaku, where they talk about the quantum physics and a bunch of other science stuff, and a segment of it caught me, because though they didn't know it, it was science once again proving God's existence and putting to bed the theory of random chaos. As usual, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification button for more videos like this. Let's get this train moving.
Well, there is a theory that says that the Big Bang went in a direction compatible to life, and that other universes may not be compatible with life. They may be lifeless collections of electrons and neutrinos, for example, but our universe is special. Our universe has stable protons, out of which you could create atoms, out of which you could create DNA, out of which you can create people. How many universes have that property? So string theory, for example, gives you other universes which are probably dead universes, universes which have no life. But our universe has stable protons, stable DNA, stable forms of life. So our universe is rare. So this is called the Anthropic Principle.
Michio Kaku is the author of a book called The God Equation, which is the physicist's attempt to lay out a single theory for everything, one based on the interconnectivity existing among everything on the planet. According to Michio, a great instance would be the connection that exists between trees, soil, and fungi, and the role fungi play in supplying nutrients to the trees according to which plant needs it most. It's a whole lot of science talk that just paints out the detailed interconnected intricacies that support plant life and the communication that goes on between these component parts. But it ties in nicely to what he says about the Big Bang. Every time we hear about the Big Bang, it's always this backdrop for scientists who believe the universe came from chaos. But here's a different theory, which makes the most sense to me if I wanted to totally throw in my lot with the Big Bang theory, the anthropic theory. And it infers that the universe's laws and constants have been fine-tuned to the exact specification required to create and sustain life. This brings me to one really important question. Since when did the presence of an intricate design stop implying the presence of a conscious, capably complex-minded designer?
The feeling that our life is not random, our universe is special. Our universe is special in the sense that it didn't have to have life, but it does. And life in a spectacular array of diversity. So our universe really is special.
But is it special because we don't know of any other universes? So
yeah, but the other universes that we played with, mathematically speaking, are not compatible with life. Stars burn out too quickly. Galaxies simply fall apart. Protons disintegrate. It's very hard to create a universe which is stable. So some people think that our universe is special among all the different kinds of universes, that our universe is unique because it's compatible with stable protons and DNA.
But it's hard for most people to even grasp the concept of other types of universes or other universes, period, or the fact there may be an infinite number of universes.
Well, that's the multiverse. String theory probably has an infinite number of possible universes. We are probably the only one that has life in them. We're not sure about that, of course. But these other universes are collections of dead subatomic particles, a mist, a floating mist of dead subatomic particles that don't do anything. If the proton were not stable, then our universe also would be like that. Our universe would disintegrate almost instantly. The fact that our proton is stable is quite remarkable.
Do you believe that that's unusual?
Unusual. In fact, maybe unique.
Sometimes the proof someone needs that our universe has a creator mustn't come from the Bible, and I accept that. I'm not saying the Bible is a lie, but I accept that the world out there can tell you about the presence of God. And that's because an object of creation, whether by God or man, always outs itself as being created. It contains an invisible imprint of its creator, which registers instinctively in our minds upon sight. We look at the design of an object, all the intricate patterns, and they evoke teleological stimulations. questions, prompting why questions or how questions, among others. Everything Michio says here about the existence of other galaxies and stuff is all backed by science. We've heard that before, maybe, but not in the exact same words, but we catch his drift. And I don't know about you, but it doesn't sound like he's mincing words. Our universes didn't have to have life, but out of all the other universes incapable of supporting life, ours does in fact support life. They've got the exact same particles flying around, but ours is stable to a T, having the perfect conditions required to not just have the spark of life, but life complex and advanced in a diverse array of forms.
If the proton is stable here, what would it be about these other universes? Like, what qualities would they possess where it wouldn't be stable there?
Everything would decay down to electrons and neutrinos. So it would be a gas, a cloud of electrons and neutrinos, which are the lowest state of matter. You can't get any lower than an electron and neutrino. That's the lowest state. So these universes would basically disintegrate. They would fall apart into a cloud of neutrinos and electrons. Our universe has stable protons, out of which you can create elements, out of which you could create DNA, out of which you can create life. That's a miracle.
So it's just because of these calculations that you've done where it says if the universe had different properties, you would think that this is rare.
Very rare.
Because there's so many other possibilities
That's
of how
right.
the universe could...
If stars burnt out more quickly, for example, because the nuclear force was stronger, stars would never ignite. If the nuclear force were weaker, stars would never form to begin with. If gravity were too strong, we would have had a big crunch and we'd all die in a gigantic fireball. If gravity were too weak, we'd all freeze to death because we would have a big crunch, a big freeze. So all the parameters of the universe are tuned just right to allow for life.
Wow.
Videos like this are interesting to me because you finally get to see a scientific breakdown of what most of us have known for years. However, and most of you can confirm this, there's always some level of restriction around the expression of that knowledge because this guy or that guy doesn't have the scientific pedigree to talk about stuff like this in a way that would be easy for people in general to accept it as true. Not that we've ever needed for it to be staring us right in the face, but hey, that's the world we're in. Michio Kaku may not show up in a Christian versus atheist debate about the existence of God, but we can see him clearly present the evidence for the existence of fine-tuning in a world we live in. Whether he believes in God or not, he does know a miracle when he sees one. And when you hear a scientist call something a miracle, it's kind of mind-blowing. If you're like me, you also noticed how he outlined the balance required for stars to thrive and for gravity to sustain us. If the marker were a bit over or under, it would be utter chaos and destruction. And that pretty much underscores the level of precision required for all life to be possible and to survive on Earth for as long as we have. Before we get back to Michio, if you're yet to like and subscribe to this video, here's another chance to do so. Let's go.
Now, there's two ways of looking at it. One way that some physicists have proposed is that we are the crowning achievement. We are the only universe that's stable, that has life, that has the diversity that creates life. The other possibility is that there are just lots of dead universes, and we just won the crapshoot.
Doesn't that possibility jive more with the state of the universe as we understand it? Because we're always looking for these Goldilocks planets, which are very rare, which may inhabit life or may have life on it. But we look at our own solar system, and there's just us.
In other words, there could be a Goldilocks zone for universes.
Yes,
The
just like there is for
Goldilocks zone
planets.
for solar systems, of course, is the
Yeah.
Earth is not too far from the sun, not too close. But we could be in the Goldilocks zone of possible universes. And that's why we're here today to talk about it.
So, but there also could be an infinite number of universes like ours, and also an infinite number of universes that are completely incompatible for life.
That's right.
Michio recognizing that there are still people who think otherwise in spite of what he sees in the scientific charts piqued my curiosity. We're still searching for life out there, and knowing man, that's probably going to continue until Jesus' second coming. But here's the thing, even in our solar system, Earth is unique. One planet closer or further from the sun, and what we know as life wouldn't have existed. Is that level of precision and order the product of chaos? All our lives, we've learned to recognize order when we see it and infer on a larger scale what we know to be true from what's right under our noses. We know that order is always the product of a conscious, conscientious, and purposeful mind. So how can people still look at the order, design, and purpose around us and think our universe was just lucky enough to hit the jackpot on the lottery? I'm really curious and would absolutely love to hear your thoughts on this down in the comments section. If you found this video interesting, you'd be doing someone a favor by sharing it with them. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.